Hello guys and welcome back to the Traitors US, and we are at the final. Oh my god, I actually cannot believe that we've made it all the way to the final because it has been a journey and a half. This might be one of the most chaotic, confusing and genuinely unpredictable series of the Traitors that I've watched. I think the only way it could get any crazier is if this final was out of pocket. If there were some twists and turns, which there definitely are, then I think this might be my favourite finale of any Traitors show ever. Genuinely, like, UK2 had a good final. It had a good final, and like, as much as it was predictable towards the end, it still had some good moments, and Molly making the decision not to choose Harry was great. But this episode shocked me. As we enter Traitor's Tower. Traitor's Tower was an interesting one this episode because Kate is essentially deciding who is the final murder of the game. I said she should have shot on MJ and then basically been like, oh, there's no traitors left. I think that would have been a really smart plan. But instead, she decided to go for Sheree. Now, I think this kind of took the heat off of her slightly, in the sense of, like, people were suspecting it might be her, but then killing off Sheree doesn't really line up with the whole keep the Bravo girls together kind of thing. So I think that was a smart move. Am I gutted to see Sheree go? Kind of. Bless her, she wasn't great at catching those traitors, but she was still a very, very enjoyable presence on the series, so I will definitely miss her. And I gotta say, it sucks to get so close to the final and then fall at the final hurdle. That actually does suck. Going into this final, everybody is kind of just unsure of who they're going to go for. CT is thinking it could be Kate. MJ is kind of sus on Sandra. Sandra's kind of thinking it might be Kate. Trichelle's also thinking it might be Kate. But then everything is still to play for. Nothing is a done deal. And I think that's what's so great about this final, is that until the very, very final moment, I wasn't sure who was going to win. Like, even out of the faithfuls, I wasn't sure who was going to win. Because it was just absolute chaos from start to finish. It's really, really sad to see Sheree go. She did work it out. She realised that Kate was the traitor. And it was all because of the stupid comment that she made at the round table. Why did she feel the need to be like, oh, yeah, you played a selfish, but you played a selfish game? Why did she have to say that? I feel like it completely threw her game under the bus in like one fell swoop, because everyone just went, what? Why would you say that? She literally could have just kept quiet, and I think she would have potentially gotten away with it. Genuinely, I think she would have. It just wasn't a smart idea in the slightest. And I was actually a little bit disappointed with Kate for that. So we're going to head on to the main mission. The main mission was, I think, a lot harder than the one that we saw on the UK version. They still had to do pretty much everything the same, but then there were just some added difficulty things that were just like, why? Why did you feel the need to do that? Like, they were told that if they made it to the boat and they raised the main sails, they'd get 30 grand. But then there were like diversions along the way that you could get extra money from. The first diversion was the crab traps. It was the crab trap that was hidden underwater. Of course it was. They're not going to make it easy. Then the second one was just finding a canister and some rocks. Now, I don't remember whether they did this in the UK, but I'm fairly certain that this flag was not padlocked. Like, there was a code that they had to run all the way back to the start of the race from, like, 4. And I just thought that was absolutely ridiculous. What do you mean? What are you on about? That's absolutely horrendous. I can't believe that they made them do that. That was genuinely so bad on their part. But it is what it is. There's not really much you can do about it at the end of the day. It is what it is. So the rest of the race was pretty straightforward. I gotta say, CT did all of the heavy lifting in this challenge. There was not much that he didn't do. Everyone else was kind of loitering around. I gotta give props to MJ. MJ did do a good job, and I was actually quite impressed with her. However, she was a little bit useless at times, bless her. Kate was useless. Sandra, surprisingly useless. Trishelle did a little bit, but not much. Then we come to the third diversion. They had to follow it into some cave with water. It was all right. It wasn't the end of the world. Then they made it back to the boat. The abseiling was hilarious. I really, really, really was concerned for Kate because she did not want to do that abseiling. But they managed to make it back to the boat and they managed to get $50,000 to add to their prize total, taking it to a total of £208,100, which is absolutely crazy amounts of money. So you might be thinking, how on earth is Kate going to turn this around? Because currently there's a 3-person alliance, not alliance, but 3 people are planning on voting her at this roundtable. Sandra, CT, and Trishelle. There was a very, very interesting conversation between CT and Kate in the car back from the mission, in which Kate was basically like, look in my eyes, I'm not a traitor. I'm not this, I'm not that. I came into this game, I had a unique perspective on the game, and it helped me find the traitors. Not because I was a traitor, but because I wanted to help the faithfuls. And CT was like, damn, she's actually convincing me. She's actually convincing me that she might be a faithful, which is kind of crazy because he was like pretty certain on her at the start of the day. So then he was like, well, who do you think then? And she was like, maybe Sandra, I guess. Like, I don't really know. And then obviously Sandra goes to talk to CT and it's like, yeah, what's happening? Are we still voting for Kate? Because I think it's still Kate. I think it's still Kate. I think it's still Kate. And then Kate has an interesting conversation with Sandra. And she starts to do some meddling. She actually managed to manipulate CT and Sandra against each other, where CT was like, maybe it could be Sandra. And then she's talking to Sandra and going, oh yeah, you know, CT dropped your name by the way earlier. He said XYZ. And Sandra's like, rah, really? Really? Rah, okay, cool. Maybe we should vote for CT then. And then Kate's like, okay, cool. She goes back to CT. Oh, by the way, Sandra's just dropped your name. And CT's like, what? Well, we're going to have to vote for her now. We're going to have to vote her out because she's definitely a traitor then. When I tell you, Kate might not win this game, but the way she played Sandra and CT off against each other, skillful is the word I'd use. Masterful even. Potentially groundbreaking gameplay right here. I don't think I've seen gameplay like it. It was incredible. It was so smart. And I just loved the fact that she was causing absolute, unadulterated chaos. So, the round table was electric. I genuinely cannot believe that this is Kate's second final round table. She fell at the last hurdle there because everyone thought she was a traitor because the traitors had done a good job of setting her up to be one. And this time, she was walking in as a traitor, knowing that she very well could be kicked out at the exact same point again. So, I gotta say, I was surprised by this. CT was basically being like, yo, my game has been honest. I have said nothing but honest things this entire game. However, Kate, I'm sus on you because of that one comment that you made. And I was like, what one comment? Oh, the comment. You played a selfish game, Phaedra. Which, I still don't know what possessed Kate to say that. Because it does just make her look really guilty. Like a scorned traitor that was like, oh, for fuck's sake. How could you do this to me? So, there's that. And then Kate's basically like, yo, I knew it was Phaedra from early doors. But the smart way to play this game is to keep the traitors around and then get them out at the end. There's no point in, like, getting rid of them because then the traitors just regroup. They recruit more people. It's better to know exactly who the traitors are, keep them, and then eliminate them one by one. That's the smart way of doing it. And I was like, actually, Kate makes some valid points. She makes some good points because she was trying in the last episode to keep Phaedra around for this final round table to be like, here's your traitor. There we go. Fantastic. So I don't know. I just feel like there was a good strategy from Kate, and it made people go, actually, that might be true. Then MJ started questioning Sandra and Phaedra's relationship. I thought this was an interesting stance to take, purely because Sandra and Phaedra are obviously very, very close in the game, and Sandra explained herself actually perfectly. It was actually a really, really good explanation. She basically said something along the lines of, I chose my friends very carefully, and I knew that the reason why I was sticking around is because I had made friends with a traitor, and they knew that they could trust me. So it had to be Sheree or Phaedra. One of those two was a traitor. I knew that from early doors. And therefore, I stuck with them. I made friends with them. And therefore, I was kept around. And actually, now I think about it, I don't think Sandra was ever up for murder. Like, I don't think there was ever a moment. There might have been like one moment where they were like, should we get rid of Sandra? But it was never like, oh, it's going to be Sandra or this person. It was always like, should we get rid of her? I think Parvati was probably wanting to get rid of what's her face? Sandra. But, yeah, well, we saw how that went with Parvati. So she basically said I wouldn't change the strategy that I played this game with at all. I wouldn't change it. And I was like, do you know what? Fair enough. And then Sandra tries to turn it back on Kate and basically like, yo, look at her outfit. Her outfit is screaming traitor. And Kate goes, oh, thank you. Oh, it's so funny. And then CT obviously brings up the whole, well, I heard you were throwing my name around. And Sandra was like, what? No, Kate was. And Kate was like, no, I wasn't. And then CT obviously was like believing Kate. Sandra put up a decent defense. She put up a decent defense, but she was up against Kate, who is a very, very good manipulator. And it's tough to read into what Kate's doing, because she has such a face the entire time, and she just looks like she's telling the truth because she doesn't usually mince her words. She's very honest, so it's tough to not trust her, if you get what I mean. But that was pretty much it for the round table. I genuinely didn't know how the voting was going to go. I really still thought that it was going to be a 3-2 Kate Sandra, where Kate was going to be banished, but I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. So, voting time. Sandra got 4 out of 5 votes. She got a vote from Kate, MJ, Trishelle, and CT. Trishelle only voted for her because she was like, I want to vote for the majority, but why would you change your vote, CT? You were on the Kate vote. What happened there? And now Trishelle is worried. Hang on a minute. Is CT a traitor? Oh, it's just so fantastic. I love it. But poor Sandra, I gotta say, gutted to see her go. Really, really enjoyed having her on this series. I haven't seen her couple of Survivor seasons. I've seen her on season 7, which was Pearl Islands, and that is it. So I'm very excited to delve back into Survivor. But aside from that, very, very sad to see her go. I did enjoy her, but alas, the game must move on. So that brings us to the fire pit. The fire pit of doom. Honestly, Kate has no chance of winning this game. No chance at all. And unfortunately, I think she fucked herself from the get-go by not voting banish again. She was the only person to vote endgame, which kind of exposed her as a traitor, because there had to be a traitor left. So it sucked to see her kind of throw the game at that point, because everybody voted for her and she voted for Trishelle. So essentially, Kate was out of the game, which meant we were left with 3 faithfuls. And I was like, oh my god, this is brilliant. As for Kate, I'll give more like full thoughts on how I thought she did in this game when I do the ranking. As much as I'd love to give her icon status again this series, she will not be getting it. I feel it's only fair, because as much as she did make this series very, very enjoyable again, I can't give her icon status 2 series in a row, because I just don't feel like that's fair. I also don't feel like she was the most iconic from this series, so I will put that out there. But anyway, that leads us on to the second round of Endgame versus Banish again. MJ voted Endgame. CT and Trishelle voted Banish again, and in that moment, I was like, huh? Huh? What do you mean? What do you mean? You want to banish again? You're essentially just taking the money away from MJ, is all I'm hearing. All I'm hearing is, I'm a little bit greedy and I just want to get another person out of the way. That's all I was hearing in that moment. But then, the voting came through, and the voting shocked me. I was like, huh? Huh? CT voted for MJ. MJ voted for Trishelle. Trishelle voted for CT. Honestly, if MJ had voted CT, she'd have won the money. But she decided to take a gamble on Trishelle. All MJ needed to do to win that money was vote CT out. And that would have been it. But instead, they were asked to vote again. And at this point, I was like, I feel so bad for MJ. Because not only have you forced her into a uncomfortable predicament, but when she reveals that she's a faithful, you're going to look like dickheads. And I'm sorry, but then she obviously still voted for Trishelle, and then Trishelle and CT voted for her. And she was like, I'm a faithful. Fuck's sake, guys. And I was like, absolutely. I actually did grow to like MJ towards the end of the series. I found her a bit annoying at first, but I thought she was fine. She was lovely. And she deserved that money, in my opinion. And the fact that it was taken away by Trishelle and CT. Angry and upset doesn't even cover it. I literally put, they snaked MJ. Oh my god. Plot twist. Wait, what? It was a draw? And then last but not least was just snakes. That's all I had to say at the end. I gotta say, it's smart. It's a smart play. I can't not back it purely because it's a play that if you got to do what you got to do. Instead of getting like 60 grand each, they managed to get 104. So it's a significant increase. Like, it's a shame, but not much you can do about it. That is it. That is it for the series. That is it. I'm expecting the reunion to be very naughty, juicy, and spicy. I think MJ is going to have some stern words for Trishelle and CT, because I would. And I'm excited to see what happens. So, stay tuned. That will be coming soon. I am also trying to get Dance Moms content out and potentially Survivor content, but obviously, I'm just running into copyright risks. And if I can't make money on these videos, then it's really unfortunate because it takes me so long to make these videos. Like, from start to finish, it's taking me about 3-4 hours. So, yeah, please bear with. I am trying to get it sorted. I've got one ready to go. So, bear with, but it will be with you shortly. But until then, keep on ranting. Bye now.